Okay, so since I'm in such a relaxed mood today, I'm gonna go through this in only one attempt, just because that's, I think, all that I need today, and if not, not. But I hope that's okay, since especially I come bearing with bad news. The Samsung Galaxy Note 9, it sucks. It totally sucks. At least that's what I think some of you might wanna hear, but it's the exact actual total opposite. This phone, I would actually say, is the least flawed phone on the market. It's the total package, and this is pretty much already my conclusion. If the price isn't too high for you, if the phone isn't too big for you, and if you don't have something against Samsung in general, this is the best phone you can get. It is just the phone of 2018. But obviously you want to know a lot more, and that's what we are gonna cover today. Let's actually start off with the size. And I'm actually gonna start with saying one thing. I wouldn't be the nitpicker if I wouldn't have something to nitpick, but it's pretty much only about the design, which is subjective. But that's where I'm not super happy. The rest, all the other qualities are great, but let's check the size here. This is against the Poco, and you can see this is one of my gripes. It is super tall. Yes, the screen is bigger and everything else, and yeah, it's just tall, and especially when I type with the keyboard, I always am afraid that it won't fall over because it's so tall. So not a huge complaint or anything like that, but something that I just want to draw, especially just like things with the design where I'm not happy. Why did the power button move up higher than on the last generation? Because phones get taller and taller, and the buttons go higher and higher in terms of placement. But why? As long as I know, once you stop growing, your fingers stop growing as well. And this is super high, because if you compare this, how much higher this is with a good sized power button, and the same goes with the fingerprint reader. Let's just check that. It is still like over a whole finger higher than already high placed fingerprint readers. And for me, if I would use it normally, it's pretty much impossible. So what I did is I either kind of just grab it in a different way and then I use it, or I use the iris unlock or the smart intelligence lock, which I'm not the biggest fan of, because this is where this phone is not on a top-notch, best of the best flagship level. The fingerprint reader, due to the shape, isn't that bad. It's okay, but it's not the fastest one. As you can see, it takes quite a while. Let's just compare it with a pretty cheap phone, the Poco. This is way faster. So that's just about that. And then the iris unlock, you have to kind of hold your phone a little bit different than I would like to, but that's the one thing. Though the camera doesn't protrude pretty much at all. This is nice. Then, of course, SD card and SIM card tray with the mic. And this is the next thing, the Bixby button. If I want to sometimes just press it, I press because I want to hold back. I want to press kind of against it, and then I tap the Bixby button, even though I just want to press the power button. And when I want to press actually the volume rocker, then I press the Bixby button. So I'm not going to go into Bixby at all. Use it if you like it, don't if you don't. But the rest, I have to say about the build quality, I can't complain. Yes, fingerprint magnet, and it's a glass phone, either you like it or not. I personally like it a lot in terms of grip and so on. And this must be the best glass bag that I've ever had in my hands. And sorry for the weird glare, but this feels super solid. The phone doesn't creak. The buttons have a great tactile bump. They don't wiggle at all anymore, pretty much not at all. The curve, that is also a design aspect, because you have some, let's say, some smaller downsides. First of all, you have a little bit of a shift. You have some glare, especially in brighter situations. And with the tall display, like I said, design. But I'm now pretty much already done nitpicking, because otherwise we have the USB Type-C, we have the speaker that works with the earpiece, then we have the headphone jack, yes, still there, and we have the infamous S Pen. And I'm just gonna cover that already now. If you wanna write, it's cool because it actually makes also the sound. If you like making notes, if you have any use for this, I have to say, just in terms of how well it functions with the pressure points, with the finesse, the in-hand feel, and that it's just included in the phone, is great. And obviously, for example, if you go, let's actually unlock, let's get rid of this, unlock. And yes, my Instagram feed is weird. Now if you, for example, click, yeah, it would, maybe, yeah, it would go through it. But let me just tell you that if you like the S Pen, if that was something that you always liked, yes. But I have to personally say, normal use, I didn't really use it because I'm just not used to it. If I would have it maybe for a longer period of time, and if I would force myself to kind of get into, I think I would like it a lot because the functionality is cool, but I'm not someone who usually draws a lot, and if I already smudged up the display with the pen, yeah, oleophobic coating is very, very good. And it will be a little bit harder to find the screen protector if you want it due to the curve, but I guess it won't be impossible. And now let's get into one thing. This phone, no notch, yes, and back notification at the end, everything is there, and it still looks nice. This is not 100% symmetric, but it's totally fine. Side bezels are okay, so I'm pretty much done with that. So now, from now on, you won't really see me complaining at all anymore because that's pretty much done. Let me just change the language. Just so you also understand the menus. Usually I change it, but I forgot it. Display. I don't think I pretty much have to say that this is the best display you can get on the market. Not just because of its own qualities, but also because of the modes. You have AMOLED Cinema, AMOLED Photo, Basic. You can change the color temperature and you can change RGB. So this is the most configurable one by now on the market. The one thing that I have to mention though, out of the box it comes with full HD. I wouldn't use that because why would I buy a phone with the best display on the market and not use it to its full potential? That's just my point. If you want to save up some battery life, do it, but I didn't even try it. Of course, navigation bar can be changed in terms of colors, even though black is not an option anymore. You can block accidental touches and you have so much more. I don't have to go into the blue light filter and so on. So let's just quickly cover the qualities. Maximum brightness is a little bit weird because when I did it with my lux meter, I only got 580 lux. With everything set to max, and I can't use the automatic sensor because then if I would have a very bright light it would just throw off my lux meter, but 580 seems a little bit odd. The display actually doesn't seem crazy bright, maybe because of the high resolution, then it's harder to get a super bright display. Maybe for a short period of time it seems actually brighter, then it slightly goes down because it can't really hold this temperature, but in normal use 580, even if that's the real value, is more than enough. Sunlight readability was fine when I did my pics in bright light, and obviously viewing angles are killer. Like I said, there is a glare here and there is a side distortion. You'll get used to it. I think the glare is actually something that bothers me a little bit more, especially when I'm somewhere where it's super bright, which is not, for example, the case here so much in the studio. Black levels are killer. Colors, I mean, by now they got it just right. Killer display. Nothing else to say here. Speaker. What I also have to actually show you, for example, if you go into the Dolby Atmos, you have the option for auto, movie, music, and voice. And that as a whole, with the extra options that you get, in my opinion, makes it, even though it's not by so much or more of a better speaker than others, of course, stereo and so on, because as you can actually see, there's actually quite a lot more volume coming out of the earpiece than on most other phones. So it's by a little bit of a margin the best speaker pretty much right now of the recent current phones, because it's very loud, very nice volume. Even though it's not crazy loud or something like that, but it sounds really good. And with those extra options you can customize, because music sounded the best to me. Auto sounded a little bit too bright, too thin. Music gave it a little bit more touch. And just because it's already pretty much the best speaker out there right now with the most configurable options, easy 5 stars. 5 gold I can't give, therefore I would need proper front-facing speakers, but yeah, that's fine. In terms of sounds, if you go into the headphone jack, here you have the options, as you can see, with an equalizer. You also have the adapt sound, which kinda gives you a kinda hearing test and adjusts it to your own. And with the volume being very good, pretty much on a Xiaomi level I would say, and the sound being actually more neutral, very clean, great. And I have to actually mention this because someone and the Snapdragon version might differ here. This is the Exynos version that's available in Germany and Europe. So let's actually get now rid of that and start with the performance. And I have to say, it's not the very, very fastest one. It's totally up there with all the other ones, as you can see here. But I guess animations, at least on Port 5, what I always use, seem not as crazy fast as some phones that push it a little bit more at what I think. But this is what makes this phone so amazing. Great speed already, yes, but now actually super consistent, which Samsung just got right with this series, with the S9 series and now with the Note series. it is so fluid. That's the great thing. It feels like rendering on a slightly higher refresh rate. Not like 90 hertz or so, but it feels more like 60. It feels way nicer. So, along with the multitasking, as you can see, they put a little more effort into the animations. That's why it's not the quickest one. Super consistent, fast, top for gaming also as well, because they pushed a lot how their kind of cooling works and so on. It feels great, so you can play with this very long. So it's not by leaps and bounds better than anything else, but it's totally up at the top. It feels actually a little bit more fluid, so it will appear to many people actually maybe not as fast, but more fluid, more consistent, and this is what's super important for me. Obviously, since it's a Samsung device, over time it could bug down and so on, even though I have to say the last time that I used the Samsung was the Samsung Galaxy S7 for a longer period of time, 1.5 years. I had no performance loss over the time. Many people do have. That's that. Now with more RAM and so on, it could hold up longer. Battery life though. A full charge with the charger out of the box for the 4000 mAh battery takes 1 hour and 40. That's a good value, absolutely fine. Now, about the wireless charger, just wanted to try it, but most people won't do a full charge from 5 to 100% anyways. But I have the normal charger, the normal wireless charger that I got a few years ago, so no fast charge or anything. 4 hours and 20, so pretty much 25% power. That's not great, but still okay if you just use it occasionally, if you just want to push it up. But the important thing now is the battery life. 7% for an hour of YouTube makes it, with my new testing, with 1080p now YouTube and a different video compared to what I did for example like half a year ago, the best value, along with the Poco phone. Both reached 7%, other phones don't reach that. The average is like 10, 12 by these days, and something like an LG G7 has 12 to 14. Yep. Now, even though I have to say 4000 mAh battery against the 4000 mAh battery on the Poco phone just shows one thing, that the Exynos with the not quite so efficient power and the higher res display just don't nearly get you that battery life. Because here I get like 8 hours on mobile data, where I get like 5 to 5.5 here. But don't get me wrong, this now is the first phone since, I don't know, since I've pretty much starting reviewing S series, the S6 and S7, 8 and so on, where I can, without any fear, get through even the hardest days. Because I don't need this kind of amount of battery life, for example, 5.5 hours. I would say like 8 hours on Wi-Fi. I actually don't need that. But if I am somewhere, maybe driving along with my car, I'm at a press event or something like that, where I just use the phone a little bit harder, then a normal S9 and even an S9 Plus would have worried me, this one not. Because especially compared to what I get with the S9, where I was at like 3.5 hours on mobile data, this is like 2 hours more. And compared to the S9 Plus, it should still be more, at least more, a little bit more than 1 hour. So that standby drain though is not as good as I wanted it to be, because it's like almost, let's say, 0.75%. Usually most phones have 0.5%, and since this already has a bigger battery, that 0.75% shows that the standby drain isn't the best. It's a little bit flaky. Sometimes it was like 0.5%, sometimes almost 1%. That's not all that great, but since you use it for 1 day, use it more, so that should not really be an issue. Okay, let's get into the software. We have to draw. I still think it's a little bit weird that up and up and up and down and same makes the thing, so you have to scroll to the sides. That's something you have to get used to, but it's fine. On the left you had Bixby Home. Like I said, I won't really get into that. Then we have obviously the quick settings that you can adjust. We have a theming engine, a pretty nice one, actually a really nice one. Sometimes you have to pay for the really good themes. So in terms of features, let's just quickly go through a few of them. Display, we have auto brightness, blue light filter, font and screen zoom, so you can change actually the font. Still, not many phones do this. Home screen, full screen apps, easy mode, icon frames, edge screen that I did not ever use because I use it for something else. LED indicators, status bar, navigation bar, just so you can see. Unlock with the home button. That's actually a pretty nice feature, because sometimes like I said, don't want to reach this button, I just press here, use the iris unlock, and it works out fine. That's actually a really nice solution. Actually something that I would like to see on other phones. If you check the advanced features, obviously S Pen, Smart Stay, Games, one-handed mode. Yeah, you can see there are a lot of options, and if I maybe didn't cover the S Pen enough, then I can say just watch other videos, because those can cover it way better. Because all I can say is that I like the precision, I like the speed, the latency is small. It's actually very precise, and as you can see here, how fast I can write with this, very easily. I'm just gonna leave this open. That's up for you. Okay, that's it about the software. Now, for all those people always complaining about the fact that Samsung doesn't really push updates all that often, well, today, actually just today, I got my September update for the security updates and so on, and they deliver that. They are definitely on the way to improving things. They get updates, not maybe so much longer, but 2 versions you should get, but it's getting better. No. We have to get into camera software because that's a major part of this phone. After all, I like one thing, that I have so many controls here accessible with the right hand, and I can still access a lot of them with the left hand. Because on so many phones, everything is on the left side, and always, at least me as a lefty, I have to reach over because I don't really use that. So here, quick access to the flash, something that I usually still need an extra menu for, or for example, for the extra modes. And as you can see here, then full screen mode, if you want to have that. And everything is quickly accessible, and I like also that you can flick through the modes, and you can flick on the other direction through the cam. So yeah, I like the app. I absolutely like it. Bixby Vision, I didn't really try. Okay, let's get into the pictures. And the great thing here is what you can see. If you know my other reviews, you know that from this distance, pretty much no photo is sharp. Besides the Note 9, and the reason therefore is autofocus. We have that. That, in my opinion, is such a big feature because you just don't get it. Okay, it's not the fastest one. You shouldn't move the cam too much, but it is there and it is great. Now the next thing. This is the normal picture, and I like pretty much everything about it. Just so you know one thing. The next thing here, if you compare, my face looks a little bit softer. That was because by accident I didn't know that the selfie mode has an extra beauty mode you have to turn off. I thought if I turn it off on the front cam, it's turned off, but it wasn't, and I didn't notice it. So just forget that. This is the quality, as you can see here. Nice, sharp, detailed, always in focus. And yeah, this is just with beautify mode, and you can see how well that works if you like that. I mean, yeah, I don't like it because it's not realistic. I have those wrinkles, and yeah, here I actually not really count too much. But the bokeh mode, as you can see, works also pretty nice. As you can see, good job, Samsung. I like the front cam. I think actually you would say this is pretty much the best one on the market, if you wait a little bit for it to make sure you are in focus, because of the focus, it just takes time. And as you can see here, this is with the flash, which is a screen flash, not a proper LED flash. Really realistic pictures even under flashlight, and here as well. Now this was outside with, I would say, good weather, but it didn't look as good as the pictures actually show me. So the pics actually look almost better than they should. They actually don't really look as oversaturated like they did in the past, because the colors actually look pretty right if I check them on my calibrated screen. So that's I like, because this color, this doesn't look oversaturated or anything. This looks like it looked, and that's nice. Here also, there is a little bit flare. Maybe I had some little bit of a grease left on, but colors improved. They are not over the top anymore. Sharpness is great. Focus is absolutely top, and even as you can see here in some odd lighting conditions, yeah, this is just easily a 5-star camera overall, because it always delivers. I pretty much had never bad shots. Like for here example, low light shots. This with the flash looks even better, but even without looks already super top here as well. For example, now also indoors. This is one of the best low light cams that you can get besides the night mode on the Huawei phones, because this without any extra thing does really bright and detailed pictures. And for those who wanted always some more night pictures, this is pretty much early in the morning with just a street lamp, and you can see just when you maybe for compare it with my Poco review, this is actually still good, and also with the flash, because it doesn't completely blow out things, which is actually impressive here as well. Obviously sharpness isn't the best, but with the flashlight absolutely usable here as well. I mean, yep. And this is the next thing is actually very impressive. This was pretty much in complete darkness, just as this one, and it still captured really well. Okay, I have to say I'm not quite sure where it got all the yellow, so the white balance was a little bit off, but yeah. Okay, video, I have to point out one thing. Obviously my video isn't 4K 60, so you won't see it in full glory, but still, 4K 60 looks nice, looks sharp. There is no stutter. The autofocus is very nice, and even though it's very fast, as you can see here, it's not too abrupt. It's a very nice subtle animation. But as you can see, no AIS, the little bit of optical stabilization that we have, but it's still usable if you want it. And if it's just stutter, that was the video, it was fine on the phone, for example. But the quality is great and everything else. And like I said, you obviously, whoops, wrong screen, you obviously can't even see that. Now 4K 30, that one is stabilized. but I think it looks a little bit odd in terms of the shutter or something like that, because it looks a little bit jittery. I mean, sharpness is great, and due to the EIS, you can see a heavy crop. A heavy crop. That's my issue with the EIS. So I'm not sure what I would personally use. Maybe a little bit more shakiness, which is something that I usually don't like so much, or just go with that, because also 1080p 60. The crop is just heavy. But I like the quality no matter what. Absolutely great. Now let's actually go for the front-facing cam. Here you can see the focus. Focus, right? But a little bit of wobble, which is fine. But this is also with electronic stabilization. And the crop is just heavy. It is just heavy. The great thing about this cam is it allows actually 1440p. 1440, yes, P, as you can see here. And there you don't have the crop since you don't have EIS. Therefore, it's a little bit more wobbly. But a cam, for example, now if you give it a second of time, now it focuses. And then the quality looks great. And pretty much the same thing about the inside. Like I said, there is a crop if you have EIS, there is no crop if you don't use it in a high resolution or something like that. But the quality is top. It gets a little bit weirdly grainy in lower light, but still fine. The audio quality of the mic is very nice. Very warm, rich, high quality, clean. So that's that. I am done now. And I changed something. Oh, okay, we are good. Click the wrong window. Now, conclusion time. I just want to get it through every category just so you know where it stands. Design, like I said, that's not my preferred thing, especially since it's also big, but that's something that I won't really judge. But build quality wise, they did everything they could just right. Display, best in class. Speaker, of this generation of these phones, I don't think any phone came close to that. I think the closest one would be something like a Razer phone that I did not really try so much. So the best that you can get on a current flagship. Performance, absolute top-notch flagship level. The battery life is in line with all the other flagships. Yes, there are phones that can give you more battery life, but with sacrifice and compromise. Here, with everything being top-notch, this is still a top-notch performing camera. It's just 4 stars, which doesn't maybe sound like so much, but 5.5 hours in mobile data is what pretty much most other flagships got as well. Then you have yeah, I get that maybe a little bit bloated software because there's so many features, but if you like those features, if you use them, then do. And if you don't, I mean, they aren't in your face anymore, which is fine. So just don't use them. I'm fine with it. And then you have the overall most consistent, pretty much one of the best cams. It's maybe not the number one. Maybe the Pixel 3 will change things. The Pixel 2 came very close. But it is about top 5 camera overall, super solid. And once again, I said it already, if it's not too big for you, if you don't hate Samsung for some specific reason, the update policy or the software or so on, and if it's not too expensive for you, go get it, because $999 is still the official price here in Germany, for example. It was on a quick sale for a few hours, like for $750. And for $750, even I have to say, that's something that I would be ready to spend if I can get this package. I mean, for me, it's too expensive. For me, it's too big and I don't like the design so much. But if I just see that what it is, I can easily recommend. If someone tells me what's the best phone, I usually always say there is no best phone. There's only a best phone for you. And obviously, that's still kind of the case. But now I could actually say, what is the best phone? This is the best phone. I would still tell everyone, this is the best phone. But if you want something more, maybe better in terms of value, something that fits you better, maybe because you don't need the very best of some things and it's more tailored to you, there are different alternatives. But as it is right now, there is no more complete, no more, or let's say no less flawed package. There is no more of a total package like this. Yeah. Okay, until next time, bye.